I feel so fucking happy for Konatsu at the end of this episode. Like, yo. That really was such a good scene. That scene that's been building up since season 1. Like, I have tears of happiness right now because it was such a beautiful scene. Seeing this character, Konatsu, that is good at Rakugo, but never got to do it because she couldn't do it. She wasn't allowed to do it, and she felt like she shouldn't be able to do it. She didn't have a right to it. To be able to sit down and do it thanks to Yotaro. That was such a beautiful scene. But when he's like brought her up, he sat down, was like, here you go, and she's like, huh? She didn't even know what the fuck to do, and then she had to say the story in front of the children, and when you saw her expressing this Rakugo story to the children, in that moment, you felt the happiness in the character. But not just that. I feel like the voice actor that voiced that scene, you could feel the happiness in the voice actor. I don't know if the voice actor really got into that scene or not, but there was a lot of emotion with that voice actor in that scene with Konatsu when she was telling the story of Rakugo. Such a beautiful scene. When she got all happy and stuff, you see how her face just like blushed up and she got all shy. I'm like, this is so sweet, just seeing what Yotaro did for her, giving her the chance to do something like this. And even though she said what she said at the end of the episode, we know deep down she was very happy to be given that chance to be able to do Rakugo. You know she had so much happiness inside of her. And I love that. I love the relationship I saw between Yotaro and her in this episode. We saw it last week, but just seeing that in this episode, truly beautiful. So, this episode introduces a new character, which technically the character's already been there, but this is actually the first time the character's really had a major interaction, so to say, with other characters, and that would be Shin, the child of Yotaro and Konatsu. This character, Shin, oh my, how fucking adorable. How fucking adorable. That kid is just straight up adorable. The way the episode starts off, the kid just wandering around, eventually he gets food and all that. He's like, you can put this, on my dad's tab, like his paycheck. You can tax it out of his paycheck. I'm like, yo, like, what? Like, the way this kid's going around and all that, you can see he's a good kid. He means well. And on top of that, you just see the way the kid was really loving what his dad was doing, Yotaro doing, Rakugo, and then seeing how he interacted with his mother, to the children around him, to Bon. There was just so many good things about his character, a lot of good vibes, and I mean, the kid's a little prodigy. I mean, that kid is probably going to be a hell of a lot better of a Rakugo player than Bon and maybe even Yotaro, because, I mean, after witnessing the kid, the way he did that little mini Rakugo at the beginning of the episode, and you just saw everybody blushing and shocked, like, oh my god, like, they're all shocked, I'm like, yo, it's so sweet. I just thought Shin as a character, he's a perfect character to carry on the legacy of Rakugo, because he's being raised in an environment that is completely different from the other previous apprentices to learn Rakugo. As we know, Yotaro right now, he's the face of change. That's exactly what Yotaro is. He is trying to change how the public views Rakugo. And viewing this episode, you notice that overall, it seems like majority of the public really appreciates Yotaro and his Rakugo, and also he's constantly on TV. He's, mingling with people. He's, getting well known. Many people come to see him in the theaters, and all the theater is packed. It just shows you how many people are really being drawn to Yotaro and his person. And it shows you how there's a major shift right now in Rakugo. The Rakugo world is completely changing. And as we know, one of the big things, which has been building up for a long time now, is new stories need to be made. And we get to see once again another side of this, of how many think Rakugo should be changed, but then there's some that do not, which is Bon. Bon as a character symbolizes the old generation, the classics, of anything, honestly. Even if this wasn't about Rakugo, Bon could be symbolized for anything that was old, but eventually does need to be changed if it wants to continue to survive in the new era. And that's how anything, that goes for anything in the world, to game consoles, to how different things that we find interesting, to how culture is, just things change with time, and sometimes things need to be different. And sometimes, some don't don't want that to be changed. They're willing to die with it than allow it to be changed at all. And Bon is a perfect example of someone that doesn't want to give up their old traditions of Rakugo. But there was something that was relatively interesting from the writer in this episode that really opens the eyes up to many. At one point in time, when Rakugo was first conceived, it came about, there had to be someone that wrote stories. And over time, with stories being passed down from generation to generation, obviously these stories are going to be altered in some way, from either translating from other languages, to just many people telling them wanting to add their own little touch to the story. And from over time, for many centuries, Rakugo will change. And the way the writer states, like, there was times to where different eras, Rakugo did get rewritten, some of the classics did change overall, and they're not the same as how they were in the past. And when Bon realizes this, you see the realization on his face. He realizes, like, maybe I'm just not suited for this era. I'm just completely not. I'm, rather have Rakugo die with me. And he realizes he's just completely different from what the era needs now. Bon is not for this new era of Rakugo. He is dying with the old Rakugo while a new Rakugo is being reborn, which is Yotaro. And also the one to carry on that legacy would be Shin, the boy, the son of Yotaro and Konatsu, which carries on the legacy of Yotaro when he finally passes away, but also carries on the legacy of his grandfather. So, I'm very happy to see this character introduced. Shin is a very important character because he's growing up in an environment that is now trying to accept change. And so, when he finally gets to the point where he can carry on the legacy of his father, he will be able to do it without having to deal with the complications of what Yotaro had to deal with, because the world and the stage will already be set for his son. Now, let's discuss the entire bit with Konatsu. Konatsu doing the Rakugo, or just the Rakugo being told to the children in general, had a lot of weight to it. And the real point of this was that the children were being introduced to Rakugo at such an early age. And this is kind of something that's very important and plays in today's society with a lot of things we view. It's kind of like this, okay? Let's say cartoons, okay? Let's say some watch a certain set of cartoons. Many people say 90s kids and stuff like that, and I grew up in the 90s. I watched a lot of cartoons in the 90s, and some will always go back to the 90s and say those are, like, the best years of cartoons or whatever, and some will say, like, oh, I wouldn't be, this big of a fan of cartoons, or this big of a fan of certain serious cartoons if I didn't grow up in the 90s. And that's kind of how you can perceive this, in a way. You can see it to where all these kids that are growing up now, getting to see Rakugo in kindergarten, they're going to remember that, because if they truly enjoy that, that's going to be a memory. That's going to be a big memory, a big moment in their mind, and when they think back at kindergarten or in their life, they're going to think like, holy shit, I remember hearing that Rakugo, and they're going to remember it, which is going to draw more interest in Rakugo if the children learn it at such a young age, because that will mean as they grow up, they'll already know about Rakugo, and if they ever hear it, they'll know what it is, and then they'll spread it to more people. And so it's kind of like the next generation, the new children that's coming out of nowhere, they are already learning about Rakugo, so Rakugo will not die. It's not just the old people that are listening to it, it's also the next generation that is listening to Rakugo too. So what Yotaro did with the school and how he actually did that play, that was a very important moment for Rakugo's survival. He shouldn't just play in theaters, he should not just be on TV, he also needs to spread Rakugo to children, because if he gets children invested, that will mean children might get, interested in Rakugo, many might want to learn Rakugo, many might want to carry on the legacy of Rakugo and do their own stories. And so this direction that Yotaro is taking, especially going out of his way to teach children and just, play Rakugo for them, that's a very, very crucial thing for the survival of Rakugo. So this episode had a lot of little subtle details in it that were just, trying to hint at the main in-game goal, but overall, it was just a very sweet and adorable episode with Shin's introduction to also Konatsu doing Rakugo. I was eternally squealing. When I saw that scene, I was just squealing. I was like, I was a lot more high-pitched than that. Like, I was squealing my ass off because it was just so cute seeing Konatsu do that. So, thank you very much for watching the video, and, it was a great episode as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.